Usually, I try to go in with an open mind. Here, I was like, "I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it," and I left going, "Ugh." Chase Rakhee here with the Blue Futon reviewing Wonka and 4DX. What's the movie about? Pretty simple premise. A prequel of how Willy Wonka became Willy Wonka and got his chocolate factory. And I found the golden ticket. I found a golden chance to something, something, something. Anyway, let's talk about the 4DX first. So my theater finally put the smoke back in for the 4DX. I don't like the smoke. That is the one thing I don't like about the 4DX because it like clouds the screen and I'm like, I can't see what's happening. But yes, that's a couple effects. There were some bubbles, big bubbles, small bubbles, good amount of water effects, and decent amount of movement. There's a couple of ching ching, ching ching movements and a couple of swirly ones and a couple things that shoot you in the back, like a back massage. But there's nothing like Trolls where it was like this and absolutely bonkers like Meg 2. So expect a calming kind of 4DX, and you're either gonna like that or not. But it was fine. It was a perfectly fine 4DX experience through and throughout. I love when people do it for the first time and they laugh. To me, I actually have more fun when that actually occurs. The movie itself, though, I was not impressed at all. It just felt hollow, shallow. It felt like it brought nothing new to Willy Wonka. Yes, I understand you're trying to get the story of how he was a past, but I'll say it's the directing and the writing which I did not like whatsoever in this film. What they decided to do with some characters was very questionable at best. And my God, the Oompa Loompa Hugh Grant is the most craziest non-needed cameo ever. It is that ridiculous. But when we talk about the positives, I do think Timothée Chalamet does his best with what he was given. It is a huge order to do Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka. Huge freaking order. And I think he does it the best that he can. He does some of the not aneurysms, the motions right. The cane is very fun to do that. But the thing is, it still doesn't explain a lot. You understand that, he lived on a boat when he was little, and then his mom built chocolates, made chocolates like once a year out of one cocoa bean, something like that. But then you get to him kind of being, I'm going to guess, mid 20s after him exploring and milking giraffes and going to Japan and getting clouds and lightning bolts and bottles. I was thinking, what is this, Hogwarts? Because when you watch the Willy Wonka in the 70s version, you kind of get that, yeah, there's some magic to it, but it's nothing far-fetched. And this movie makes it really far-fetched. Yeah, you have the scenes in the old ones. I'm going to watch that this weekend that they blow up and they float. Sure, here it's more of like there's no science to it. At least with the old one, they said, oh, you have this ingredient that makes you do this. This is like, if you have giraffes milk and we milk some giraffes, this is going to happen. Or if we bottle this, this, this. So you're just like, yeah, you're kind of making it like magical, but not realistic. That's the thing that the 70s version did. Yes, it was magical, but it was also realistic and plausible. So issues with the writing and directing. Also, but let's talk about the positives. I do think the overall acting is pretty good, even though some characters are very throwaway, especially Mr. Bean's character, and just unneeded. Yeah, I understand you wanted to make some kind of, I want to call it statement, but, have fun characters to help Willy Wonka, but it still doesn't grasp of why he went secluded in this 70s version. And you're supposed to do that unless we were making a second Willy Wonka to how his trust in people just dissipated, because that doesn't show it in this film. And like I said, maybe I don't know that they're making a second one. And that is what's really bothering me, because there's a huge gap, in my opinion, that they are just missing. And here's another thing. It's PG, right? I don't see kids having a fun time with it. I see kids being kind of bored. There is some not good musical numbers that you're just like, why are we singing to song right here? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't really need to be needed whatsoever. And Mount Sinai, I'm really dogging this movie. Like, I watch it. It's a very serviceable, watchable movie. Like, there are some good scenes, especially like when he opens his candy shop for the first time. And of course, the cartel, the chocolate cartel, and what they're going to do. And from Keenan Peele, Key's character, is really funny about how he eats too much chocolate and he gets super, super fat. And I think that is very funny. Like, there are different gags. And like I said, Hugh Grant is basically a cameo. The Oompa Loompa, like, I understand what you're trying to do, but it still doesn't explain. Yes, these Oompa Loompas are from an island and he got banned for a reason, but it doesn't, it's very shallow, very hollow. That is my biggest frustration with this movie. I got nothing from it. Yes, I understand that Willy Wonka came from nothing. He just wants to please people through and throughout. He's a happy-go-lucky guy. But what made him the Willy Wonka from the 70s? And you don't get that, you get nothing. I think that's my biggest pet peeve is you gave me a shell of chocolate, but when I bit into it, I wasn't flying. It was hollow, and it was as bad as a Hershey's Kiss bar. Yes, Hershey's is pretty shitty chocolate, but I bet you Willy Wonka's is a lot better. But overall, Wonka 4DX. The 4DX was fine. The positives, Timothée Chalamet does a good job. Hugh Grant, the little time he's in it, good job. The overall actors are fine. The premise can be good for the whole family, friends, and trying to just bring good to the world. But the directing style of adding these random, like, imagination drawings and the story itself just didn't work for me. And overall, I left going, it could have been worse, but it could have been hella better. So Wonka will receive a 2.5 out of 5 with Futon, which equals at 50%. We'll see the critics and user scores gave this one. I'm kind of shocked. Critics say 83% with 187 of them. Critic consensus, with director Paul King at the helm and some solid new songs at the ready, debatable. This warmly old-fashioned Wonka puts a suitable sweet spin on the classic character while still leaving some room from some source material's darker undertones. But the darker undertones don't... They feel like they don't shape Willy Wonka. That's the issue. Anyway, I'm curious about some of the positive and negatives. B pluses, 3 out of 4s, 2 out of 4s, 2 out of 5s, 4 out of 5s, Bs, 8 out of 10s, 3.5 out of 4s, Bravos, C minuses. There we go. I like this, Susan. There is not a lot of depth to Wonka's backstory, but since it's geared more towards a younger audience, the film chooses to tell a lighter and almost cartoon-like tale. Thank you. Perfect, Susan from Irving Television. You freaking nailed it. I couldn't have said it any better. You don't get the backstory that feels like it's needed it to be. 8350. Chase Hawk here at the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One of things, Futontopia. Futon, a great day. I don't care about to stay tomorrow, week from now, month from now, year from now, every single freaking one of you. And yeah, like I said, I go with the open mind. I said, you know what? There are plenty of movies where I'm like, this is going to be shit. And I'm like, oh, that's pleasant. Or I'm like, this is going to be an amazing movie. And I'm like, that wasn't good. This one, just middle of the freaking road.